All right, Kate, I think it's preparing. It says it's preparing live, so just one moment. I don't know why it's taking so long. Here we go. All right, and we are live.
And action, huh? All right. Good evening, Windsor Forest. My name is Katie Ban. I am the president of the Windsor Forest Community Association, and I am so happy to welcome you to our September meeting. So we've got quite the agenda for everybody this evening. Hopefully you all saw that we've got our candidate forum for our upcoming November elections. So we are incredibly grateful to have all of our local candidates giving up their time this evening to discuss their platforms and answer any questions from you. So we're going to get to that here momentarily, but I wanted to start with some of the official business, not really official, but some of the business for the Windsor Forest Community Association. First off, I wanted to remind everybody that the census is still going on. So if you have not completed the census, you have until September 30th to do so. And you can go to 2020census.gov to complete the census. And I'm sure you've all heard how incredibly important it is to be recorded, especially for our area. We want to make sure that we know how many people live here, the demographics, all of the things that the census is recording, so that we make sure that we get adequate monies, representation, and everything, not only here in Savannah, but specifically in District 6 in our Windsor Forest neighborhood. So if you have any questions about how to complete the census, you can reach out to us at ourwindsorforest@gmail.com. We'd be happy to give you any instructions and information on how to do that, but just really wanted to reiterate how important it is to complete that if you have not done so. And again, you have until September 30th to do that. Next, we have got, I don't know if, hopefully you all remember in our meeting in March, we were hoping to do the Great Savannah Cleanup that was going to happen in the spring, and then obviously COVID hit and everything got put on delay, really. But the Great Savannah Cleanup is going to be happening again this fall. It's going to be the weekend of Saturday, October 24th, and the Windsor Forest Community Association is planning on organizing an event to get people out in our neighborhoods, on our streets in the neighborhood, to help clean up a little bit. So we're probably going to do from like 10 to noon, 10 to 1-ish, more details to come on that. Likely going to meet at La Vida, at the parking lot at La Vida. We will have the bags, gloves, pickup sticks, and everything to do to participate in the cleanup. So if you are interested in doing that, more information to follow, but go ahead and mark October 24th on your calendar for the Great Savannah Cleanup. Also, since we've got fall upon us, we are going to try and do a trick-or-treating event here through the Windsor Forest Community Association. Right now, our plan is to do a trick-or-treat around Tribble, in Tribble Park around the lake on Saturday, October 31st. We are aiming from 3 to 5, and what we are going to ask is that people volunteer to set up a trick-or-treating stand. So we ask that if you can, you bring your own table and any kind of decorations that you want to put on your trick-or-treating table, as well as candy. And then we are going to socially distance, ask that people wear masks, moderate how many people can enter the event, and we are going to do a trick-or-treating event around the lake in Tribble Park. So again, more information and details to come on that, but start brainstorming on how you want to decorate your table. And if you would be interested in participating in that, we will have a sign-up sheet on our Facebook page and on our website. And just kind of trying to get back out in the community again. You know, we haven't been able to have events here in quite some time, but hopefully fall, people will continue to social distance, the numbers of COVID cases will continue to go down, and we'll be able to have a community event at the end of October. So please put that on your calendars as well for 3 to 5 on Saturday, October 31st for a community trick-or-treating event. Also, I can't believe it, but it has actually been almost a year since the inception of the Windsor Forest Community Association. And I'm sure a lot of you who attended our first meeting remember that we did do an election for your current board. So you have myself as the president, we've got Andy Blair as our vice president, we have Derek Williams as our secretary, and we have Jenny McCord as our treasurer. Per our bylaws, we are holding elections every year for a new board. So our next community association meeting is going to be in November. And in November at that meeting, we are going to hold elections for the board for our 2021 year. So we would encourage anybody who is interested in becoming a board member, becoming more involved with the Windsor Forest Community Association, to fill out some kind of, we're not even have you fill anything out, establish some kind of platform perhaps, let us know, your interest in Windsor Forest, how long you've lived here, just kind of a little bit of background about yourself and why you would want to get involved with the community. So if you have questions on that, if you are interested in running for a board position, please reach out to us. You can visit our website, Facebook page, or email us. We can answer any questions that you have. If you have any apprehensions, that would prevent you from getting involved, we can certainly help put those at ease. It's been a wonderful year, obviously challenging with COVID, but I think it's been a great first year here with the Windsor Forest Community Association. So we are excited to have anybody else who would want to be involved get involved. So please reach out if you are interested in becoming a candidate for a board position. Just let us know, and that will be voted on and discussed in our November meeting. And that is truly all I have as far as Windsor Forest Community Association business goes. So as I said, we have got a handful of candidates here this evening, as well as our 6th District School Board Representative, David Bringman. So I do not want to ado any longer. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to first have Dr. Bringman speak to us about just a school board update. We've got a lot going on out. The school year has started. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can just fill us in on what is going on here with our Savannah-Chatham County public school system.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you to the board of the Windsor Forest Community Association. Thank you for putting this together. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the other candidates that are here tonight that are willing to devote their time to first run for office, but then to serve in office. A lot of people think that we do this for some position of authority, but it truly takes a servant heart to become a servant leader. And I feel confident that the 6th District and the individuals here tonight are wanting to become servant leaders that are guided by a servant heart. Currently, the state of Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools is a fully virtual learning environment. I don't like to say that our kids are not face-to-face, but because they are face-to-face with their teachers daily and face-to-face with their friends, but they are not in person. We are having a workshop tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I would please, if you have the time to watch, please watch that workshop. They will be discussing, we and the district will be discussing the phased re-entry into in-person learning. Tentatively, that date for the beginning of a hybrid is October 12th, hoping that our numbers continue to decrease across our county. If you haven't been following the Department of Public Health, we have a great working relationship with Dr. Lawton Davis, constantly giving us the numbers and showing us that we are slowly making progress towards being in a better place for our students to get back into classrooms. Of course, school will still look differently once we're back in school in a hybrid model, and even probably when we get back to 100% in person. Social distancing is quite difficult, both in transportation and in classrooms. This was seen over the summer with pilot programs when the district, prior to the exponential growth of COVID in our area, was working towards a hybrid model. So they are, again, working tirelessly to get us back to in-person learning as soon as possible. I would ask for parents to be patient with their students to be patient with their parents, all of us to be patient with these teachers that are, I think, working more than they ever have to still deliver education. Patience for the administration that's having to work through so many other questions because each question leads to 10 other questions and knocks over a couple dominoes along the way. So if we can have patience, safety has always been the biggest concern, and it is my number one priority. I fully support the superintendent in wanting to keep our students safe. All 36,000 plus at the current head count, and over 5,500 staff and faculty as well. We will get back to in-person learning, and it will probably still be slightly different, and students will rejoice, and so will teachers and parents. But safety is still my highest priority, and at this time, I couldn't say that we can immediately reopen schools, even though I desire it as well. So do my two students here. But my son even has a sign behind me that says, keep calm and keep Zoom. So he's buying in on it. Outside of COVID and prior to the pandemic, one of my priorities for the district, and especially for Windsor Forest at heart, was both Windsor Forest Elementary School and Windsor Forest High School. So literally weeks before we went on spring break, I was meeting with people in the district to discuss how we can phase those schools into new schools. They are older buildings. If you talk to any teacher at Windsor Forest Elementary School, they will say they need a new building. And the same goes with Windsor Forest High School. We have spent, a couple $1 million here and there on those schools to keep them up to code or to bring small adjustments, but the time is now for both of those schools to be fully replaced. I hope that can come soon. It will be a new environment, but I believe that we will still need school buildings. This will not be the eternal way that we will teach students. And those schools, I will continue to fight to have on the top of the list for replacement in the district. Please, I know I don't get to answer questions tonight. I decided to be a public servant to serve. Please email me at any time at my Savannah-Chatham County Public School System website email, or by all means call me. That email and phone number are on the board website. I'm sure that your treasurer, Ms. McCord, can get it to you if you need to speak with somebody else to get it. But I like to hear from parents, the pros and the cons, because if I'm not hearing from you, I can't tell the district what my constituents are thinking and what's occurring both in Windsor Forest, across the 6th district, but also across Chatham County. Thank you again for having me. And thank you to all the candidates for putting your hat in the ring and being willing to serve for all of Chatham County.
Thank you so much, David. We really appreciate it. So welcome to all of our candidates that are here tonight. We really are grateful that you took time out of your evening to come talk to the Windsor Forest community. My name is Kate Blair. I'm going to be the one moderating. I'm the communications chair for our association, but mainly I'm just the only one brave enough to moderate a bunch of candidates. So here I am. So just a quick, I know that all of our candidates know this, but just to give a quick rundown to those that are viewing, each of our candidates are going to have 3 minutes to share their platform, why they're running, why they're qualified, and what they want to do, or whatever they want to fit in those 3 minutes. And after those 3 minutes, we have questions for all of our different candidates that have been submitted by the community, and we'll ask you that. And of course, it wouldn't be a great candidate forum if you weren't allowed some level of rebuttal. Please keep any answers and or rebuttals in less than 2 minutes. And Katie's wife, Holly, who I think is hiding somewhere behind her, is our timekeeper. And so she's sending me text messages of when I should cut you off and tell you you're talking too long. Not that any politicians can be long-winded, and I'm sure none of you are. So anyway, we are going to do questions for each of the different candidates after they do their little spiel, except for all of our commissioners. We're going to do all of theirs together at the end, since a lot of the questions apply to all 4 of you. So we'll let you each do yours. Those of you, after you finish you're giving your speech and then your questions, you're more than welcome to leave, so you don't have to sit here and jump and get back to campaigning, because we know it's a really busy time for many of you. And we'd also, as a community association, love to welcome you to come to any of our different, we have food trucks regularly in our community. So if you just want to reach out to any of us so that you have a place to hand out signs or get your information out, we'd love to help facilitate that for you. We are all about engaging our community to ensure that the 6th district here has a voice in Greater Chatham County. So I think that is everything. If you do want to rebut something, is that the proper term, rebut? Offer a rebuttal to whatever your opponent is saying. For those of you that opponents on the call, just raise your hand or just let me know so I can ensure that I direct you. But since it is a Zoom, it's a little tough to, let's try not to talk over each other, as I'm sure you won't. All right, so we are gonna get started with Dr. Charles Pugh. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly? Is it Pugh? You're muted right now, so if you want to hit the unmute there. There you go.
That's correct. Very good.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you, and you can give us your appeal.
Okay. I was hoping I would not be first since I need to go to school on some of these other people. But I'm Dr. Charles Pugh. I'm a practicing internal medicine physician in Savannah for a little over 41 years. I was raised in Lumpkin, Georgia and West Georgia, attended the University of Georgia, went to medical school in Augusta at the Medical College of Georgia, and I completed my internal medicine residency here in Savannah many years ago. I've always been somewhat interested in the coroner position, and so when Dr. Bill Wessinger, who's the current coroner, called me in January and asked if I would be interested in following him since he was not seeking re-election, I was immediately intrigued. I thought about it for just a few minutes and decided to accept the invitation. I have his endorsement. I was named a deputy coroner in March, but I went to the certification course in Forsyth in the first week of June, completing a 5-day, 40-hour course, becoming certified. And since that time, I have worked as a deputy coroner here in Chatham County. Over the last 8 weeks, I've been on call every night and every weekend since that time. For those who don't know, the coroner's responsibility is to establish the manner of death. And that may be accidental, homicide, suicide, natural causes, or undetermined. We're especially called in the case of any type of violent death or something that's unexplained, or in the death of any child. I have enjoyed the time I've been there. Before I was deputy coroner, I thought it was imperative that the position be filled by a physician. And since I've been on call for 8 weeks, I'm even more convinced that it needs to be a physician. Georgia is one of the handful of states that does not require the position to be a physician. That probably goes back from many years ago when some of the rural counties could not have a physician to fill the role. But I think any city of any size or metropolitan area should be a physician. It takes a physician or somebody with medical background to realize the medications and the effect that medications have on the body, and what's the likelihood of natural causes versus some other undetermined cause of death. I will continue my small practice. I have downsized. I have a very, very small medical practice, which I will continue. I'm open to questions. I appreciate
Thank you.
Inviting me. And
Thank you so much for joining us. We do actually have a question for you as well.
Good.
So if elected, what organizational or procedural changes would you make to the department? Is there anything that I know that you mentioned that you have the endorsement of the current coroner, but is there any changes that you might make?
I think one of the main things we need to do is bring the coroner's office into more of the modern era. We still do things with pen and paper, and it needs to be electronic, digital. I think it would streamline the process. I think it would speed up generating death certificates so families can move on with selling their estates, et cetera.
Thank you. And then then we have last question is, what's the best quality you would bring to the position if you were elected?
I think the best quality that I have is being a practicing physician and having 41, 42 years of experience.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. You did wonderful for being the first one. Way to kick it off for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Pugh. We really appreciate it. All right, and now we're going to move over to Joyce Griggs. And also I want to mention as we move, neither of the opponents for these two are present. We did extend an invitation to all candidates, but just so you know, they get a lighter load because they don't have anybody challenging them at this particular time. So Joyce, thank you so much. I'm going to spotlight your video and allow you. You have 3 minutes to talk about your platform.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all for allowing me to be on tonight, and thanks for sponsoring this forum. I am Joyce Marie Griggs, of course, the Democratic nominee for U.S. Congress for the 1st Congressional District. Want to point out this 1st district is huge. There are 17 counties. It goes all the way from Savannah to Camden County, and we have 4 military bases in this district, which is great, which is very important to our economy. Also, I would like to point out that I am a combat veteran. I am a retired lieutenant colonel, and I was an intelligence officer in the military with over 33 years experience. And I deployed to Iraq 3 times, and I am a Bronze Star recipient. And I am a servant leader, and I believe that the people should be the forefront of any person in office thoughts and actions. And I am a people's person. I want you to know that I can't be bought and I can't be bribed. I am a people's person. And unfortunately, we have such a great divide today. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party, you name it, this party, that party. And unfortunately, we're not taking care of the people. The people are suffering right now, especially during this pandemic. There are so many people that are out of jobs, so many people that don't have health care. And I'm going into some of my issues, but we've got to get people back to work. We got to find ways to get them back to work. For example, especially if they give the unemployment again, I think this will be a good time that a lot of people could get into retraining. For example, maybe make the technical schools free. And while they're getting that money, we get with the Department of Labor, find out what jobs are needed, get them trained and retrained, especially in some technical skills that they may need. But we've got to get the people back to work. This pandemic has caused our world to be upside down. Okay, and we've got to have health care. So many people are without health care. Think about it. Those that had jobs, okay, their health care oftentimes was tied to their jobs. But unfortunately, because they don't have jobs anymore, they don't have health care. So we've got to do something about that. And let me point out, especially in the rural areas, see, we have this 17 district is comprised of so many different aspects: the rural, the urban, the dirt poor, the extremely poor, the poverty, you name it. But in the rural areas, healthcare is so critical. There's hospitals are closing in rural areas, and then you don't have the specialists in a lot of these rural areas, okay? And point out here, the mortality rate among women, the maternity mortality rate is the highest in Georgia than in any other state. As a matter of fact, we rank with 3rd world countries, and this should not be. This is America. And let me jump on. I am a veteran, so I support issues that pertain to veterans. We need to make sure we take care of those that have taken care of this country, that have fought for the democracy, that have fought so we can have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, so that we can get out there and protest, whether we like it or not. But the veterans, we have fought for this country, and I am offended that the president would say that those that died are losers, because I had some friends and acquaintances that died in Iraq protecting this country, and that is very offensive. So we don't need to divide anymore. We need to come back together, okay? And in any event, I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joyce. We love your passion. So we do have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
One is, what makes you, so just a reminder, you have 2 minutes to respond to these questions.
Okay.
What makes you different from your opponent, Representative Buddy Carter?
Well, number one, I am not partisan. Okay, I can work across party lines. And let me say this, my military experience taught me so much. Being an officer, I work with the private all the way up to the generals, my subordinates and peers. And we work together for the benefit of our mission to get the job done. And that's what I would do in Washington. I will work for the benefit of the people to bring the money back to the 1st Congressional District so that all people can prosper, so that all people will be treated fairly. Now, another thing that makes me different, I have experience. I've had boots on the ground. I've worn combat boots. I've been to combat, so I know what it's like, okay? I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree, and I have a law degree. I am highly educated, and I have a lot of experience. I have not only a local level experience, but local, national, and international. Been an intelligence officer. I've worked with Defense Intelligence Agency, National Level Intelligence Agency, National Ground Intelligence Center, you name it, okay? And I've had the highest level clearance, and I've briefed generals, and I've worked with foreigners. I've worked with our allies in Iraq, and I've sat there with them to help write legally binding agreements when I was in Iraq. So I am well qualified. I have a lot of experience, and I have the heart for the people. And for me, it's not about money. It's not about fame or glory. It's about the people. No party. It's about not the Democratic or Republican Party, but it's about the People's Party. We've got to get America back on track. We've lost our standing in the world. I believe that I can bring about some unity in this nonsense that's going on in Washington for all people, so that we can thrive as a nation, so that people will respect us again as leading the way in America.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And then one last question for you. If you were elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, what initiatives would you recommend? I think you mentioned one already, or support to address the current state due to the pandemic.
Yes, definitely. I think right now we definitely need this stimulus money. We need to make sure that we take care of Main Street and not Wall Street. The people of this great country are the ones that have paid taxes. Who's benefiting the most? Wall Street is benefiting. They're getting bailouts left and right. Whereas we have Main Street, the people are suffering. A lot of them are getting evicted from their home. They don't have health care. Okay, they don't have jobs. What are they gonna do? This is crazy. So we gotta make sure that we go back and we take care of our people. And I will implement whatever I need to implement to make sure, first and foremost, that we take care of the people, that they can feed their children, they can pay their bills, that they're not put out on the streets. And so that's what I would do initially. Bring money back down from Washington to the local levels, because there's plenty of money up there, and I'll find that money and bring it back to the people of the 1st District.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. And Buddy Carter did send in a video. Unfortunately, I just got it a little bit too late. So we'll put his video on our social media when we link this video as well. But we thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And we love your energy and passion. And we know that this is, that you believe what you say, and we appreciate you coming and sharing that with us.
And thank you so very much. And I'm fired up and I'm ready to go, and I can't be bought and I can't be bribed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we're going to move to our district attorney candidates. Here we have with us our current district attorney, Meg Heap, and her challenger, Shalina Cook-Jones. So we're going to start, how about with the incumbent? To start with Meg Heap, and I'm going to spotlight your video. And if you will just share with us and I'm sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. Will everybody just make sure they're muted other than Meg? Sorry, it's distracting me just one moment. But Meg, we're gonna go ahead and spotlight your video, and you can share with us 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Kate, for having me. And hello, Windsor Forest. That was my stomping ground. I grew up on Willow Road, and I have a sister and brother who live there. I guess for me, I'm running for district attorney because I want the focus to be on the voice of the victim in this case. I went to college at Georgia Southern. When I got out, I got my first job was at the Victim Witness Assistance Program. I worked for 3 years with victims for the sole purpose of working with victims. I really have enjoyed that. Since 1992, I've tried hundreds of cases in juvenile court, in state court, in superior court. Currently, my office, I've hired some really good prosecutors. We have a 90% conviction rate on our most violent offenders. Those are your murders, your armed robberies, your sexual assaults, your child molestations. A focus for me was the creation of a special victims unit. I wanted to focus on our most vulnerable. Those are your children, your elderly, and your women. And so I named a deputy chief. They train law enforcement, they train out in the community, other prosecutors on how to investigate these cases as well as to prosecute them. The other focus that when I took office in 2012 were programs to protect our children and our youthful nonviolent offenders. In 2013, 2014, I received a $600,000 grant to expand Intercept. And Intercept is a program where we have people, you have the police investigating the case, you have the medical people trying to treat the victims, but people 12 to 25, our focus was that people were coming in with gunshot wounds or stab wounds. And our focus is 24/7 is to intercede on their part so that they don't reoffend or retaliate or that they are not harmed. We expanded this program into the schools. We're collaborating with them, and we're also working with juvenile court. We established a summer law program for the at-risk youth to bring them into the court systems other than as a victim or a witness or someone who is charged. Our hope is that they can see our system working on another level, and it's been really good to see these kids come in, and public defenders and prosecutors and the judges have all been involved. We have a pretrial diversion program. These are for youthful nonviolent offenders. So they created a shoplift or they committed a shoplifting. Our hope is that this doesn't stop them from moving on in their life. They have community service, they make restitution. If they complete the program, then their records are expunged. We have a pre-warrant. I'm working with the city on that. So these, instead of even being arrested, we have it in state court and we have it in superior court. And by law, the district attorney's office has to handle these cases, and we have tracked these cases. The people who have gone through and have successfully completed, they have over a 90% success rate. We check them, they have not reoffended. We also had an area of expungement. So by law, there are certain cases that have to be expunged. Back in 2013, when I took office, we started expunging these cases, and we have expunged 4,500 cases. We had a clinic back in 2019. It was collaboration between the Port City Bar and the District Attorney's Office. And then we did it this past, people that have, by law, their records can be expunged. We don't want this to hold them up. We also have a prosecutor assigned to the accountability court.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but your time is up, so I have to give your opponent a little bit of time, but thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. And so Shalina, I'm going to spotlight your video and give you the opportunity to go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Great. I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me well, everyone?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening to all of the panelists tonight, and good evening as well to the Windsor Forest community. As was said, my name is Shalina Cook-Jones, and I'm so proud and honored to be here with you on tonight. Although I'm originally from New York City, I'm a Savannah transplant. So I am not from here, but I am married to Savannah, and my husband attended Windsor Forest High School, so go Knights. And he's very familiar with that part of town. He is a Savannah native. I am a 20-year Georgia attorney. I've been practicing for 20 years. I like to think it doesn't look like it, but I've been practicing almost 20 years. I'm licensed in Georgia, South Carolina, and Texas. Let's see. So I graduated from the University of Georgia School of Law, and I've done a number of things throughout my career, but in almost 20 years, I'd say a good bit of that was spent on prosecution. I started in the DeKalb County DA's office as a third-year law student under the Third Year Practice Act. And in that office, I served initially in the Theft and Robbery Division before being transferred to the Unit for Crimes Against Women and Children. At that time, I served under J. Tom Morgan, who was the DA at the time. I have also been a federal prosecutor. I've prosecuted cases in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas. There, I specialize more on border crimes, is what they call them. So I worked on the removal of undocumented residents that unlawfully entered the United States. I also worked on drug smuggling and a number of different cases for violations of the federal law. And after that, I was a state prosecutor. I moved here to Chatham County a little more than 10 years ago. And I had the opportunity to serve under Larry Chisholm, who was the DA that hired me. He assigned me to the Special Victims Unit, where I worked on all domestic violence cases in Chatham County. And then I also had the pleasure of serving under the incumbent, where she moved. I worked with her in the felony division as part of the Special Victims Unit, and then was named as the elder abuse prosecutor here in Chatham County. After leaving that office, I thought about different things to do to make the system run better. And the incumbent has had 8 years in office, and I'm running this time to offer the citizens of this great county an alternative option. See, I believe, having worked in this office as well as several others, that our system of prosecution can operate in a way that's more efficient, that it can also operate with more equality and fairness, and it can also, we can improve effectiveness and create better outcomes, not just for the victims. While that is a wildly important goal, I believe that one of my goals as a prosecutor is to balance both protecting the victim and the victimized, and also observing the constitutional guarantees that belong to the accused, as well as keeping the community safe. So I've got a few, I think, well-studied and good ideas about how to do prosecution differently. And I'm hoping that the citizens of this county will choose me on November 3rd.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate that. There are quite a few questions that we are going to choose from. So, you know, I know you can't all imagine that people want to ask DAs questions right now, given the current climate. But we have quite a few, so I'm gonna hit a few of these. Okay, so first, is there any way you can fight so that sexual crimes do not have a statute of limitations? Is that set at maybe the local level, the state level, or the federal level? So we'll start with.
Okay, so actually at this point, the law changed over time. Currently, there is not a statute of limitations for sexual assaults, but it's the law of the land at the time of the crime. So if the crime was 20 years ago, you have to look at the law there. But currently, there is no statute of limitations going forward. The law changed. But at the time, we have looked at cases that are old, and you just can't. Okay. You have to apply the law back then.
Okay, and I assume, Shalina, you don't have any rebuttal to that.
I don't have any rebuttal to that. I think that Madam DA is correct. What I would add to that is that, you know, it would be my hope going into that office that the goal would be not to look at the day that becomes stale or expired, but actually to prosecute those cases quickly, get to them efficiently, and handle them effectively.
Okay. All right. So if elected, what are two things that you would work towards first as the district attorney, or might for you, Meg, to, you know, continue? Let's start with you, Meg. What would be the things that you would address first?
I think there's two pieces. You know, I really believe that the criminal justice system is a three-legged stool. So the DA's office is, the focus should be on the victims. I firmly believe that if you're charged with a crime, you should have a defense attorney representing you. And then at the end, the judge is the one who's sentenced if convicted. I think continuing to focus on programs that would work with family justice centers, which we started last year, our hope is to work on people who have been victims of domestic violence and their children. I think it's great. We opened the Family Justice Center in December of 2019, and we're working very closely with Safe Shelter for Battered Women, the Rape Crisis Center, the Coastal Children's Advocacy Center, Victim Witness Assistance Program. My hope is by creating a Family Justice Center, and this is the first one in the state of Georgia, which I'm very excited, that we can focus and have the results that like San Diego has with their Family Justice Center in the reduction of domestic violence homicides and the recantation of victims. That's a focus. And I think we also have an early intervention advocate that we've started and a post-adjudication. We have to keep the victims informed. We are the voice that they get in that criminal justice system. And I think the programs need to be focused on that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And is there any, Shalina, how about for you?
Yes, the first thing that I would do on day one is work to make the office operate in a more efficient manner. In order to do, my first obligation is to make sure that I protect the victims of serious violent crimes and those who belong to vulnerable populations. There's just no way to do that if the system itself is not efficient. And so what that means is that we have to find quick ways to streamline and resolve low-level offenses so that we can get to the cases that matter most and give the victims the protection that they actually deserve. So my goal would be to cut the fat and make sure that we create a prosecutorial system that operates efficiently. This is the best way to protect victims. Second, my secondary goal would be to increase transparency. And so what I mean by that is inviting the community in, doing things like creating a citizens advisory panel. And that's very important because we have to build community trust. Not only do we have to help to protect the community, but we have also got to establish such a strong relationship that allows us to rely on them, to give us the information that we need from the community that will help us resolve our most serious cases and offenses most quickly. And that can only be done when the community actually trusts the DA and the prosecutors that serve them. So my goals would be, the two primary goals would be to A, make it more efficient, and also to make it more transparent.
Thank you. All right. All right, so do you, again, I have about 2 more questions for our DA and then I'll let you guys out of this hot seat here. Do you support civilian oversight of law enforcement? And we'll go ahead and switch it this time and go over to Shalina first.
I'll say that as a prosecutor, I've had the benefit of working with a vast number of law enforcement officers. I've known them all to be good people and I trust them. However, I think that oversight is very important, and it's important for us as public servants to provide avenues in which we are allowing the community to tell us what they're seeing in their communities, and that we create opportunities to hear from them. Again, this is important because it goes back to building community trust. As it relates to civilian oversight of law enforcement, I think that we only have things to gain by opening up the lines of communication and allowing civilians to be heard on different grievances that they've had with law enforcement. That is really important. I think that it's a DA's role to even advance that by making sure that they disclose discovery, the names and identities of officers who have been proven to be problems create problems as it relates to the use of excessive force during the conduct of their duties. This is a way to make sure by pulling back the veil, we make officers better, actually. And I think that it improves the system overall by improving the quality of law enforcement that we have, and also allowing the citizens to be heard, which are 2 primary functions, and greatly assist the prosecutor's role of making sure that the right cases are brought to justice in the right manner.
Thank you so much. And to you, Ms. Heap.
Yes. Okay. I want to make sure I'm on. Yeah. So a couple of things I think is that are very important. Number one, we have a policy group. It's an initiative started by the mayor, and it's to look at officers' use of force or policies involving law enforcement. And there's like 20 people. And I'm very excited that my Chief Assistant of Juvenile Court, Diane McLeod, chairs that committee, which I think is great. The mayor also asked me to join a group which is I called it the Georgia Reentry Program, because back in 2013, Governor Deal had a pilot program here, and the mayor now has wanted to go back and establish this program. And these are people who have gone to prison and they have done their time. And our hope is that when they come back, they have a place to live, they have a job. Our hope is that they've done their time. Now let's make them citizens of this community. We created back in 2013 a transparency grand jury, used the civil powers of the grand jury for fairness and transparency on any public corruption case, any officer where there's any allegations of excessive force. Our hope by doing that is that the grand jury would hear all the evidence, they would issue a statement, we would have a court reporter to record it all, and that way the community should feel safe that all the fairness and the transparency is there. We had mentioned previously that we wanted to, one of the things I wanted is an advisory board, a committee, and going forward, that's what I want. And the reason is that, by law, I have to prosecute the case. I have to make the determinations. I have to look at the evidence. I have to speak to the witnesses. But I do want to know what's going on in the community. How's the South Side, you know, where I grew up in Windsor Forest? How is that different? What are their needs? What are the needs on the West Side? And the hope is that, you know, ultimately as district attorney, you take an oath and you uphold all the laws, but that I can hear from everybody and then make decisions going forward.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to let the two of you go. There was one more question, but it was just mine, and it was a selfish one. And I know both of you, and I can just ask you on my own. But thank you two so much.
Thank you for having us.
Two brilliant, highly educated women running for DA. So I am, I mean, sorry guys, you got quite the act to follow here. These three remarkable women that we just had speak. So thank you so much. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, y'all. All right, and so we're going to head over to our 6th District Commissioners. We have A. Whiteley and William. William, please tell me how to pronounce your last name. I apologize. I could guess, but
it's Dial.
The Dial. Okay, like the soap, but okay. Okay, gotcha. Well, welcome. Thank you two so much for coming. As everybody knows, these are the two running our Republican and Democratic candidates for our 6th County Commissioner. We're going to go ahead and start. We'll start with William. So William, I'm going to spotlight you. You have 3 minutes to tell us why we should elect you.
Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey everybody, I'm William Dial. Born and raised Savannah, Georgia, born at St. Joseph Hospital. Grew up in Windsor Forest, Coffee Bluff area, Apache Avenue area. One of the main reasons I'm running is I'm not a politician. I'm an electrician by trade. I've been an electrician now for 25 years. Small business owner since 1999, September. So September is actually 21 years in business. Successful business electrician, low voltage technician. A lot of the things that I want to do, I want to bring repairs and new projects to the district. I was born and raised here. Lowe's and Home Depot right across. That used to be Woods. Savannah Mall used to be Woods. We grew up when right when you get out of Windsor Forest and all that, it was still county. A lot has changed in that time. And I've seen a lot change as far as funding not coming our way either. I've seen our taxes continuously go up, and we're not getting anything else here in the 6th District. It just keeps on going up and up and up, and we're not getting anything off of it. We keep getting left out. We're like the redheaded stepchild over here in the 6th District. Goes from Coffee Bluff all the way down to Kings Ferry, Bush Road. It's a big district, but that doesn't mean we should get left out. It's a big district. It means more taxes are coming out. So we should get our fair share here. The repairs and the projects, we have a lot of dilapidated buildings and residential places that we need to do something with them. Some of them in neighborhoods are dangerous. The people that own them, something needs to be done with these things. As far as the citizens, I'm always here for any citizen in the community. I have what they call an open door policy. I have my email, my cell number, Facebook, Twitter, all that available. Even now, I even have people calling me now with issues, and I've actually already started working on issues in Windsor Forest. I had a guy call me about a pothole. I went by his house. We've been walking the neighborhoods. I went by his house. He told me about a pothole. I called the city about it. He's had a work order since 2007. Called him up. They filled the pothole. Not up to specs, but we'll work on that. Be glad to work with other commissioners, Republican, Democrat. That doesn't matter to me. I'm here for the community. I'll be responsible yet competitive. Transparency and communication is key. That has to be done. We have to be able to communicate. Like I said before, I've never held a political position, but I have been a small business owner for 21 years. And when we look at the budget, that's the way I will look at the Chatham County budget is we price jobs out. That's the same way we need to do it with the county. You need to look at it this is coming out of my pocket. Even though we're paid by the county, the people are the ones who employ us. The people are the ones that we need to work for. And as Mrs. Blair was saying, the food trucks, please go to food trucks, support local. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, William Dial. Thank you. All right, and then ADOT.
All
You
right.
are up. I'm going to spotlight your video. You have 3 minutes.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be here. As you already said, my name's Aaron Whiteley. My friends call me A-Dot. I'm a father. I'm a husband, father of 3. I've been married for 11 years. I have been active in the community and in different community affairs since I got out the Army. Just to list a few of those, I've been the PTA vice president at Schumann Elementary, working with a lot of Title I families and students, a board member at Frank Catlin Boys and Girls Club, here, one of the oldest community institutions here in Chatham County. I'm also active with my church's media ministry. Coastal Cathedral is my church. I currently serve on the Chatham County Recreation Authority, and then I have been a coach with Chatham County Recreation, as well as currently I serve as a coach and the general manager for the Pit Bulls Athletic Organization. So when I say all those things, I hope you notice one of the recurring themes, which is that I've been serving others in the community for a while. Like I said, when I got out the Army, I was a combat veteran. I got out the Army in 2014, and I went to work. I didn't wait. I went to work. Now, with my candidacy, 3 of my primary focuses at this point: youth engagement. And the reason I say that is because the youth are tomorrow's leaders, they're tomorrow's voters, they're tomorrow's business owners, and tomorrow's workforce. So if we're not making a strong effort to pour into them, to make sure that they have resources to develop and be productive citizens of our community, then we're really setting ourselves up for failure. Another thing is that I'm looking for business growth and development. Now, our district is home to a federal opportunity zone, and unfortunately, too many vacant commercial spaces. So with that being the case, I would work with business owners and the business community, as well as regular everyday citizens, to create businesses and to create jobs in our district. So that we as citizens or neighbors within the 6th district have businesses to visit in our area, but also those of us who live in the 6th district have ease of access to employment, because if somebody can't feed themselves, none of the other stuff matters. And then finally, accountability and accessibility. And the reason I say that is because the remainder of my priorities are going to come from you. They're going to come from the citizens. They're going to come from the community of the 6th district. And with that, I need you not only to hold me accountable to say, hey, A-Dot, you're not working up to snuff here, or hey, A-Dot, here's something we really need to focus on top of the other things that I look to focus on. But when you elect me as your county commissioner, you are electing yourself to access to what happens in our district. So I look forward to working with all of you. And again, my history has shown that I'm willing to work with everybody. I don't have radical ideas when it comes to politics. I'm a pragmatist. So I look forward to working with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we're going to, as I said before, we're going to save the questions for all of our commissioners towards the end. So we're going to hand it over to Commissioner Chester Ellis, who is currently a commissioner for District 8, but now is running for the chair seat. So I'm going to spotlight your video, and if you could give us your pitch.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of the Windsor Forest Community Association forum. I greet you in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I come to you as the current vice chair of the Chatham County Commission, and I want to say that I am proud of the work that we have done with the commission. Let me say that there are 2 areas of interest that all citizens should want to know of. Number 1 is taxes. I'm proud to say that at this point in time, this commission has kept our taxes low. We have not increased taxes in the last 4 years. In fact, we have given rollbacks throughout the time I'm on the commission. Secondly, the second item I would like to bring forward is involvement. We know that in order to keep Chatham strong, we must all be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And we have worked to make sure that we are including everyone in our platform. We work from Tybee to Bloomingdale, from Hutchinson Island to Ossabaw Sounds. We have included all the work. And just to give you an idea of what I mean by by having everyone work together. Every community, every municipality in Chatham County experience one issue, if not another, that's the same, and that's flooding. We all know that that is a problem. Well, we've been going about it by letting municipalities do what they do and the commission doing what it does to take care of the problem of flooding. But based upon what information we have from the national experts, we need to do a wholesome flooding problem for the whole Chatham County so that we can take care of the flooding issue. And the only way that can happen is that we have everyone at the table involved. And this has been a commission, and I have been a commissioner that have fought hard to keep our taxes low and to include everyone. That's why I believe in Chatham Strong.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. And then we will, to your opponent, Jason Butte. I'm sorry, I just struggled with your last name.
Jason's fine.
Jason, thank you. So Jason, who is also running is the Republican candidate for chair. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight your video, and you can offer us your pitch.
Great, thank you. I want to thank you all for hosting this event tonight and everybody that's watching. I also want to thank all the candidates who are running. Chester, Commissioner Ellis included. It's a challenge to run for office, especially with a global pandemic going on, but I'm proud to see so many good people step up to run for all these seats, DA, Congress, et cetera, coroner. My wife, a little bit about myself, I've been married for 22 years. My wife, Jody, she's a professor at Savannah College of Art and Design. I have 3 kids, age 15, 8, and 5. And I've been an educator in the public school system for 21 years. I've worked at Sol C. Johnson High School and coordinate the International Baccalaureate program there and teach history. If I'm able to win this seat, I intend on keeping that job in some form or fashion. I love working with kids and want to keep doing that. So I also served as mayor of the city of Tybee for the last 14 years, from 2006 until 2019. And I'm running for chairman because I have a couple of core beliefs that I think could benefit all of the county, and some priorities that I want to bring forward for the benefit of everybody. And one of those is collaboration. I think one of the things that has happened recently with the breakdown and the demerger of the police department, I certainly don't want to bring that issue up again for consideration to remerge the department, but I think that showed that there a symptom of a lack of collaboration between Chatham County in particular and Savannah. So I think we can do a better job of collaborating, not only between the municipalities, but with our educational system, our nonprofits, et cetera. I think that we all should work together regardless of our political boundaries. Secondly, I think the public deserves consistent and clear communication from their leaders, especially in times of emergencies like hurricanes and what we're dealing with right now with this pandemic. And I have done that on Tybee, went through several hurricanes and led our community through that, and was offering clear and consistent communication to the public that I think they appreciated. I also think the public deserves a long-term, well-articulated vision of what we want our community to be, some detailed plans for how we're going to achieve that, and reporting back to the community about how we're going about achieving those objectives to reach our long-term vision. We have a wonderful thing called a blueprint for our county. I want to stick with that and work through that and work with stakeholders in a collaborative way to achieve some of those goals. For example, the Tide to Town plan, which is a bike path, multi-use path plan, that part of it will, if completed, run through the Windsor Forest community. I want to see that through to fruition, but it's going to take some leadership to make that happen. I also want to make sure that all 8 commissioners, whoever is elected, Democrat or Republican, that we work together and establish some goals that we all agree on. I did that on Tybee, and we were able to achieve avoid a lot of unnecessary drama that prevented us from actually getting our objectives done, because at the very outset, we developed some goals that we all agreed upon and tried to complete those goals, and we're successful in that respect. And finally, I think it's important that the Chatham County Commission Chairman is the chief lobbyist for the county and gets more of your tax dollars that you send to the state and to the federal government back to Chatham County to benefit all of us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a few questions. Well, we have tons of questions, but I know we are already past time, so I'm just going to select a few. But I know that that people can reach out to you all, I'm sure, to ask any additional questions. So first, this is directed to our two 6th district to start, our two 6th district commissioners. How do you plan to involve residents of Windsor Forest into the decision-making process for our district?
All right. Who did you say first?
Either one of you. You spoke first, so go ahead.
Okay, so Chatham County currently has a ton of vacancies on boards and commissions. So one of the first things that I would look to do is, working with my colleagues as well as the chairman, look to fill some of those vacancies. And with that, that's going to come from different communities to include Windsor Forest. So getting, using, not necessarily reinventing the wheel in that regard. Now, another thing that I would look to do is, with my own money, create a site where I would try to create basically polls. So with that, reaching out to everybody within the district, getting them access to this site so that we can actually poll and make sure that when decisions are being made, especially big time votes are being made, I can truly have my finger on the pulse of the community. At the end of the day, I communicate with people on a regular basis, so it wouldn't be anything new. It's just a matter of putting it to action.
Thank you. William, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, ma'am. Few things that I would do to get the community involved in it. I would definitely do a Facebook poll to ask the communities throughout the 6th district their opinions. But another thing that you would run into, I've talked to a lot of people in Windsor Forest over the past couple of weeks, a lot of people in the 6th district over the past couple of months, door-to-door knocking. A lot of people don't do Facebook. A lot of people don't do internet. There's a lot of, older generation in Windsor Forest that don't have anything to do with that. Another thing I would try to concentrate on is going to the associations for their meetings, going to their churches to ask them there, have town halls set up in the communities. A lot of people that live in Windsor Forest are from Windsor Forest originally, but then you have a lot of people there that aren't originally from Windsor Forest. They've lived there 5 years, they've lived there 10 years. They don't know the neighborhood as well as everybody else. That's one thing that I've seen in Windsor Forest is we need to start doing more in the communities to get the neighbors to meet each other, have more opportunities of that, whether it be in church, whether it be a town hall meeting, a local cookout, a block party, when the pandemic calms down, of course. But those are different things that I would do to try to, get opinions from the community, is interact with them. I'm more of a person-to-person phone call. People can text me, Facebook, any way they like, but I know a lot of people in the 6th district that I've met like the more person-to-person, dealings with people.
Sure. Thank you. All right, my next question, we'll start with the two chair candidates. How do you feel about the transportation option? How do you feel I'm trying to read it exactly what it was, but it's phrased a little weird, so let me try it again. How do you feel our transportation options for Chatham County currently are? Do you think that we have enough public transportation? And if you don't feel that we do, that reaches all corners of Chatham County, what would you do to help increase that? So whomever of the chair candidates would like to go first.
Sure. Chester, you can go if you'd like. I'll go, whoever.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah, sure. So of course we have the Chatham Area Transit that provides bus services and other methods of transportation for folks. I would work with that board. One of the important things that the commission chairman does is appoint folks to various boards and to make sure we have some good folks, representative of Savannah, representative of some of the municipalities that participate in CAT, and representative of the county, and then citizens that are involved in that process. Some of the CAT services need to be expanded, but the issue is money. Where are you going to get the money to do that? So you've got to make sure that you have a funding mechanism to do that. One of the things I think we can do more of is lobby aggressively for funds from the state and the feds to provide increased level of services so people can get to and from work, folks that don't have access to automobiles, especially, and our young people as well, who use those transportation infrastructure. So I would just work as much as I could with the CAP board and work. The chairman of the county commission also serves as the head of what's called the core MPO, and they also help provide funding streams for CAT. And as I mentioned, I think we really can work hard to lobby at the state and especially the federal level for more of those transportation dollars to come back to Chatham County so we can enhance and improve those services that CAT provides.
Thank you. Chester, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, let me say that one of the things that you must know is that this commission has declared the whole Chatham County as a transportation zone.
Mm-hmm.
And in declaring that, what has happened that has created problems for our CAT system is that we have had municipalities opt out of the transportation hub that we set up for Chatham County. In fact, Tybee was one of them that opted out, and then they decided to go to the Coastal Region Commission, for which I am also a member that served to represent Chatham County. They brought in paratransit from McIntosh County into Tybee rather than using what we had right here in Chatham County. So it is our responsibility. I'm not just talking about the chairman, but I'm talking about every citizen of Chatham County. It is our responsibility to use the resources we have here right in our own area, because one of the things we do when we use our resources wisely and effectively is that we create jobs. And when we opt out of the transportation, and I don't want Tybee to think that I'm picking on it, because we had other municipalities as well to opt out. And so what we did was we had the Attorney General give us a opinion on the transportation hub that the county administration had set up, and whether the municipalities had the option of opting out or not. And we found that they do not have that. And so that is one of the things that we're working on now. One of the other thing I would like to say, as far as talking about collaboration, we collaborate with all our municipalities. And you know that the commission is really responsible for the unincorporated area. But we have set up right now within the county system, any citizen can dial into the county and file a complaint about anything. And if it's things that the county needs to do, we will send our forces there. If it's something that the state needs to do, we get in touch with the state. If it's something that one of the municipalities need to do, but they need to know how to dial in and serve their complaints. And what that does is that complaint goes directly to the commissioner for that district. It goes right to the chairman for that district. It comes to me as the vice chair of the district, so that we can, in 3 days, we can find out what is the status of any complaint that comes from any citizens in the district.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I let him go a little bit longer because he didn't take all his time the first time around. Thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Can I mention something?
I was gonna ask Jason, since he mentioned, since you were the former mayor of Tybee, since he mentioned Tybee, is there anything you'd like to respond to that?
Yeah, he's right. There's a number of municipalities that opted out of CAT. That was done before I became mayor. Tybee had opted out of CAT, and they actually reached out to me. The CAT staff reached out to me a couple of years ago to see if Tybee would want to opt in, and I went down there. I met with them. I heard them out. They had some good ideas. And what I told them was the same thing that the mayor of Pooler and some of the other municipalities had told them, is if we would be open to it, but we think it would be important to allow our citizens the opportunity to vote on whether or not they wanted it, because that comes with a millage rate increase, what we call the CAT tax. And I never heard back from them. So it was something that I was willing to listen to. But that is one of the issues is when it was first created, it did not encompass the entire county. They allowed municipalities to opt out, and some of them did, like Tybee before I started. But I definitely understand and recognize the importance of CAT for economic development, for folks to get to and from work, for folks to get to and from school, et cetera, and would definitely work with the CAP board to do all we can to enhance that system.
Thank you. William or ADOT, do either of you want to add anything about public transportation in Chatham County?
Yeah, I would. So I think public transportation is vitally important, not just for, as Mr. Buterman and Mr. Ellis said, for work, but also for business. You know, when you have accessibility, whether it's people traveling from out of town, considering that tourism plays a big role in our local economy, when they can move around using public transportation, I think it makes us a little bit more attractive to different things, to include bigger conferences. Now, granted, there are options. It might not necessarily be very popular to include T-SPLOS 1 or 2. T-SPLOS 1 being a regional SPLOS that would basically create a SPLOS fund to work solely on transportation issues, or we could do the 2, which is county specific. Again, something to consider. I'm not necessarily 100% on board. I'd like to learn a little bit more about it. But however, using a T-SPLOS, not only could we use that to fund fare-free ridership and make sure that employees have access to places such as the Savannah Manufacturing Center or Tanger outlets, but it also can be used to repair some of the drainage issues that communities like Windsor Forest, Georgetown, and other communities throughout the 6th district are dealing with.
Gotcha. William, did you want to add anything?
Yes. As far as the CAT system, public transportation goes, I believe it needs a lot of work. Many people that I've spoken with say they wait too long for buses. There's not enough buses. I mean, it's a big issue that I think needs a lot of work. I don't know exactly how much because I'm not on the board. I'm not there. I don't know the ins and outs of it. But from what I hear from the people in District 6 is that it does need a lot of work. You have communities over here, Bradley Point area on the way to Richmond Hill. If you have to catch a bus from there, I mean, it takes you all day just to get across town. I mean, there's a lot of work. I'm sure the people that are there are working hard on it, but maybe we just need to look at it a different way, bring in some fresh eyes. As far as money-wise goes, I'm sure there's plenty of things in the budget now that can be done without hurting anybody, to find the money somewhere in the budget to do different things throughout for the transportation authority, because it is a vital part for a lot of people to get to work, to to go shopping. It's a big part of the community. It needs to work for the community, not against them.
Sure. Thank you. Yes. Commissioner
Let me just say, because we need to know what is real and what is fantasized. The T-SPLOS was voted down by the members of Chatham County, by the voters of Chatham County. That's why there is no T-SPLOS, all right? Secondly, let me say the Chatham Area Transit Authority was created in 1986. They have sole jurisdiction over transportation, all right? The only part that the commission plays is that we set their tax rate and that we appoint members to the CAT board. But as far as giving CAT instructions on what they should do and cannot do, the commissioners cannot do it, all right? That's unethical.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just by show of hands, who's ever ridden on a cat?
Born and raised on it.
All right. All right. Okay. I'm going to do a couple more quick questions. I know we're keeping you guys long, but this is really good input. There is one that is very passionate here. We see often and hear about in Windsor Forest, and that is, what will Chatham County Commission do about the homeless population here in Chatham County? What can or will or are you doing? So who would like to start? This is to all four of you.
Right now, the Chatham County Commission is working with Savannah Homeless Authority. Even though it says Savannah Homeless Authority, yet it works throughout the whole county. We just awarded them with a memorandum of understanding, $50,000. And what the memorandum of understanding said is that they cannot use that money for administrative purposes. They can only use it for services for the homeless. Listen, a lot of the homeless are our veterans, and we need to take care of our veterans. We need to create jobs for those veterans. We need to take care of their mental issues, all right? And so in doing so, it is of the utmost importance that every municipality and every citizen in Chatham County work with the homeless authority so that we can eradicate and alleviate the homelessness that is in our community.
Yeah, I agree with everything the commissioner just said. And it is clear that it's a growing problem. And it's something that we need to work together on to address and move the needle on it to try to help folks out. Part of it is an affordability issue. We have an affordable housing issue. I know that the city of Savannah prioritized this in the new SPLOST that was approved last November by the voters of the county, the special purpose local option sales tax, that's 6 cents on the sales tax that we pay. They set aside funds to start to tackle this issue within the city limits of the city of Savannah. I think the county should step up and work with them. And I think they are. I think there are some good steps that are being taken to address it, but it's a problem not only in Savannah, it's a problem all over the country. But in particular in Savannah and Chatham County, there is an affordable housing issue. And I think the county has some leverage in terms of new development to help to address some of those issues.
Thank you. Adad or William, anything you want to add?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to say, I think a lot needs to be done about the homeless situation. Like Commissioner was saying, a lot of them are veterans. And, Jason was saying that and a lot of them are veterans, a lot of them are homeless, not due to their own fault. We need to step up and help them, as the county, as the city, as citizens. Don't just, everybody doesn't need to just go by and hand them money. We need to find other ways to help them, as far as housing, as far as, meals until these people get back on their feet. Again, with the CAT bus, the transportation, there's quite a few. I think I've driven every road in Chatham County in the 6th district in the past 3 months. I've driven down every back road, every side road, and I've seen a lot of camps. I mean, you would never know they were there. Some you do know they're there. A lot of them take care of the property that they're at. You see trash bags. I mean, they're taking care of it because it's their home. Not saying they want to be there, but some people don't have a choice. And those are the people we need to help get back on their feet. Veteran, not veteran, all of them, we need to help get back on their feet, get them back in somewhere, help them out, get them going again in the right direction.
Thank you. Ada?
So one of the issues when we talk about homelessness is we have to get rid of the idealism. Like with that being the case, like we could sit here and say, oh, we gotta help them, all that. Yeah, but it comes with meaningful policy behind that. If we're gonna tackle, a homelessness issue, we have to tackle a housing issue. We have to tackle a poverty issue that is definitely a serious issue here in Chatham County. So we can sit around and say, oh, well, we gotta help them. And as a veteran who has worked with many veterans homeless and not, there are some people who do choose to be homeless. That's not who I'm necessarily speaking of now, but there are people who are one paycheck away from being homeless also. So while we're thinking about just a group of people who are standing on the side of the road, what we have to do, we have to be bold enough to actually put some policy together to actually push or put money behind, put our money where our mouth is when it comes to affordable housing, to put our money where our mouth is when it comes to job training and pouring into our citizens and making sure that our citizens are equipped to be a stable part of the workforce. But idealism and just saying we got to help them out, it's past time for that. And if we're not upset about seeing hungry people, it's only getting worse, folks. It's only getting worse. So we have to be pragmatists about that too.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to do, because we have gone way long on time and I really appreciate y'all hanging in there. So I'm going to do one last question because it's come up a few times. So I think it'd probably be more specific to 6th district, but others feel free to jump in. Will you work with the city to develop Bell's Landing?
Yes, I'll take that first. Bell's Landing's been there forever. Used to be a restaurant down there. Used to be a nice area. Savannah 6th district, needs to have some public fishing areas. We used to have one on Coffee Bluff. There used to be a public dock down there. No more public fishing on Coffee Bluff. Bell's Landing. Signs up that say no public fishing. People do it anyway, but the only one we have is down at Kings Ferry. That's the only public fishing spot, and 6th District is on the river. I mean, it's on the river. The whole backside of it is on the river. There's only one public fishing spot, unless you count Fort Stewart, that you can go fish on the river in the 6th District. So I would be all for Bell's Landing being turned into something, but as far as the parking goes, maybe use part of the Savannah Mall for parking, depending on what they turn Bell's Landing into, because you have a whole parking lot, a shuttle bus back and forth. Make the parking lot bigger over there. It's something definitely needs to be done down there, because when you try to put a boat in there, it's all crowded. So, I mean, I believe that would be a good idea to do something with it. Something good.
Sure. ADOT?
Yep. So I don't have a problem with that. And here's how I would do it. I wouldn't just think about it. This is how I would do it. I would work with the Chatham County Recreation Authority, who has actually put up boat ramps and docks throughout the county. I would get with them, start with a feasibility study to see what it would take to make Bell's Landing, more susceptible for public use, to expand it, whatnot. From there, we get a number to see what it would potentially cost to do that. And then ask the Recreation Authority to put the money up, and depending on what that number is, perhaps get the county to match it out of recreation funding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I add something real quick to it?
Sure.
The biggest problem with Bell's Landing is I think the price tag on it's like $3 million now. That would be the biggest issue, in my opinion.
Okay. So we could take that real big flag down. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. I just got a dirty look from Katie. My bad. All right. So last question of the night that I have for all of you is, if elected into office, will you all get along? Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we should have asked that last election. So I thought we would throw that in here and ask this election.
That's without saying.
Yes.
The only way we can do that is to work together and diversify the jobs and industries here, so that if we are going to lift our Chatham out of the position it's in, then the only way we can do that is to diversify our industries that we have here, to get more people to work and to work together. Let me say that as you talk about Bell's Landing, that would have to be one of those collaborations, because the commission cannot just go into a municipality and take over. You have to do one of two things. You have to get an IGA, which is an intergovernmental agreement, or you have to get an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding. And so therefore, what you would have to do is to partner with, all right, the municipality that it sits in. And I say this, even though we are 8 different municipalities, we're only one Chatham County. And the only way that Chatham County can be strong is for all municipalities to work together with the county government, to work with the federal government, to work with the state government. We have found, and when I say we, it's because there were other commissioners with me in the time that we found federal dollars that we have never applied for, that we can apply to some of the issues that we are talking about. But we must understand that some of these issues belongs to the municipality, and accept that you get together with them and work on one accord and agree, all right? We can disagree, but we must agree to agree and come up with a workable plan that is suitable for all of us. That's why, listen, I have worked tirelessly, I have worked untirelessly, or whatever you want to call it, to make sure that Chatham County is one Chatham County, and we are working together for all. And I mentioned the drainage problem here is because that's one issue that we all need to come around, because I don't know of any community, all right, that doesn't have flooding in it. Even if we were out on Skidaway Island, if we were out in Pooler or Bloomingdale, or we were out on Tybee, all communities have a problem. And what we must understand is that the ocean is rising 4.7 feet. So therefore we must be ready, just like we need to be ready for this pandemic, just like we need to be ready. And I can honestly say the county is in good shape, and we have one of the best bond ratings that you can find, all right? And that's why by keeping taxes low, which is something we have done, we have not taxed folks, we have kept taxes low, but yet we have taken the resources that we have to take care of the problems that we have.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I think, Katie, do you want to wrap us then?
I was going to say, gentlemen, all candidates, thank you so, so much for your time this evening, for your efforts, for your selfless acts to this community. We truly appreciate it. We wish you all the best of luck in November. And yes, we are incredibly grateful for you for joining us this evening. Sorry we couldn't get to more questions. If neighbors have any questions for any of the candidates, you can certainly reach out to the candidates directly. They all have websites, social media. Yes, so yes, please do not be an uneducated voter. Reach out to these candidates, ask them your questions, demand that they give you the answers that you're looking for. So, and then most importantly, get out and vote in November. So yes, a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you for joining us this evening. And really that is all we have. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, for listening in. Please be on the lookout for our October events. We look forward to seeing you out in the community, out in Windsor Forest. And do not forget to complete the 2020 census if you have not done so already. So yes, visit our Facebook page, visit our website for all up-to-date information. And we look forward to seeing everybody at our November meeting again. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.